What's up, everybody? It's your boy C Sams, and this is, well, actually.
Your attention, please. Your attention, please.
Now, well, actually is actually a series that we're trying to start here with the comic show. Basically, talking about different YouTubers or YouTube channels that talk about different plot holes and mistakes that comic book movies make, but in actuality, they're not really mistakes. Y'all just bugging and y'all reaching, and we're trying to bring y'all back down to reality to show that these weren't mistakes, these weren't plot holes. You just reaching and you have no reason to be reaching. So today we're going to look at CBR. CBR is a comic book something, but I love their channel. I subscribe to their channel. I love their channel. I love what they do there. But they came out with this video about 3 months ago that talked about the 10 plot holes that were left unanswered at the end of Endgame. And I thought Endgame did a great job in tying all the loose ends of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But they're saying that, yeah, there's an issue with what they did and what they talked about, so let's not even waste time. This is the video. Let's just get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to debunk every single plot hole that they said was in the MCU. We're going to just go ahead and do it right now. So let's go.
Hi, question.
The ultimate MacGuffins at the MCU may be gone following the events of Avengers Endgame, but they're certainly not forgotten. Mostly because we still have a ton of unanswered questions about what happened to the Infinity Stones. These items have had a long and confusing history throughout their time in the MCU, and even our heroes seem to be pretty confused about it. Let's talk about some confusing parts of their history and questions we still want answers to. Scattered. In Avengers Endgame, we saw our heroes going over the timeline of the various Infinity Stones, and it got more than a little bit confusing at times. Especially since most of the Infinity Stones have existed under various aliases at different points in time, like the Tesseract and the Orb. But let's talk about where the Infinity Stones ended up, and how they got to those places, because, well, there are a lot of gaps that we still can't explain, even now. We know the Space Stone was once in the possession of Odin, who considered it the prize of his treasure vault. But how did it get to Earth for Red Skull to find it in Captain America: The First Avenger?
Stop. Now, if you remember in Ragnarok, when Hela was walking through and pushed over the Infinity Gauntlet, said it was fake. Who's to say that Odin didn't have a fake Tesseract in his vault? If you remember in Captain America as well, there was a fake Tesseract that was on the coffin of whoever, and that's when Schmidt was able to push it off and find the real Tesseract and all that stuff. And you know, we remember that from the first Avenger, Captain America. So who to say that Odin didn't have a fake Tesseract in his vault to begin with? So let's debunk that right then and there.
Also, it was mentioned numerous times in Endgame that the universe is a huge place. So why did so many of the stones just so happen to end up on Earth? Who put the Soul Stone all the way on Vormir, a place which until now hadn't had any relevance in the MCU?
Also, perhaps Odin decided to put the Tesseract on Earth. Maybe he decided to do that when he was fighting the Frost Giants and he realized that his vault could be, you know, it could be compromised at some point. So why don't you bury something in man? Because man don't understand science, they don't understand the cosmos, they don't understand any of that stuff. So maybe leave it there because it might be safer with man. But of course, you know, Red Skull was able to tap into it and get an idea of what that power is. So yeah, his plan pretty much blew up in his face, literally.
We know the Collector was interested in getting all of the Infinity Stones. So why did such a powerful being fail so spectacularly at this task? We might never know who scattered the Infinity Stones, and how they made those handy containment vessels for them.
Also, the Collector doesn't go around collecting things, meaning he doesn't leave his fortress to go collect. People bring collections to him. People bargain with him. He bargains with people, pays people to collect these items for him and bring it to him. If you remember, the only reason why he got the ether is because Asgardians decided to give him the ether to keep safe in his vault, in his collection. And if you remember from Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Collector paid off the broker to get the orb from Peter Quill. And because of that transaction that was taking place, he was going to purchase, he was the one that was purchasing the orb so that way he could have 2 Infinity Stones. So he didn't understand what the Infinity Stones really did. He knew that they're very strong in a cosmic power, but he didn't know what would really happen if you put all of them together. If you know anything about the comic books, and I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper with the Collector a little bit further on, but yeah, there's nothing that says that he knew exactly what he was planning to do with the 6 Infinity Stones. So yeah.
Mind Stone. Speaking of people who ended up with Infinity Stones, how exactly did Thanos get the Mind Stone in the first place? In the Avengers, Loki showed up with a shiny new scepter and started bragging about how his new best friend gave it to him because he has so much faith in him. Yeah, all that bragging didn't really age well, did it? Gamora stated that obtaining the Infinity Stones is all Thanos has ever wanted, and everything he's done has been a means to that end. So why are we missing out on the story of how he got his hands on his first Infinity Stone?
Okay, the Mind Stone, that's a great assessment, no arguments here. But we're gonna still get an Eternals movie, and it has been stated that Thanos is gonna be in that movie a young Thanos. So who to say that the Thanos that we get is not given the Mind Stone based on his intellect? Who knows if maybe Thanos stole the Mind Stone and he had the Mind Stone in his possession, allowing the Mind Stone to take over his mind and configure his mind to where he was able to go out there and do the heinous things that he did. Who to tell that that was the case with Thanos?
The Infinity Stones was such a big deal, why did he hand one of them over to Loki of all people? We're not saying Loki isn't a powerful guy, but Thanos has his fanatically devoted Black Order at his disposal. He shouldn't have needed to go to an outsider for this. If anything, you would think he'd have wanted to handle this himself.
And another thing, if you think about it, Thanos is a tactician. So what he does is basically sit back and allow other people to do his bidding. I mean, he did that up until Infinity War, but he sends Loki down to Earth with the Mind Stone so that he can get the Tesseract. So that way he'll be able to get 2 stones back. He'll be able to get his Mind Stone back, and he'll be able to get that Space Stone. But because of the fact that the Avengers was on Earth and no one saw that coming, he kind of lost the stones. But then again, at the end of Avengers, when his gesture was like, yo, to beat them, you gotta court death, and he smiled at the end of it, he wasn't even concerned at the fact that he lost that Mind Stone. He knew that the Mind Stone was gonna cause more damage down there than it would with him in his grasp. So he didn't really need the Mind Stone. However, who to tell all the things that was gonna be conjured up because of the Mind Stone? So that's a little bit of misguidance on his part. But then again, he did say in Endgame, the arrogant doesn't expect anything. So there you go.
Vormir. Gamora and Nebula are 2 potentially useful characters that fail to be particularly useful most of the time. In Avengers Endgame, everyone wants to know where Thanos is, and Nebula insists she knows where to find him because he'd never shut up about his retirement plan. She says he's going to the garden, but doesn't know where it is exactly. Okay, thanks Nebula, that was super helpful. The garden, got it. But perhaps even stranger is that Gamora apparently knew where the Soul Stone was this whole time and did nothing about it.
Alright, pause. The Soul Stone. Now, no one knows about the Soul Stone. We found out about the Soul Stone in Infinity War. You mentioned that. Great job, CBR. But not everybody knew about what was going to happen when you got to the Soul Stone. Now, yes, Gamora found out the location of the Soul Stone, but she didn't find out how you got the Soul Stone, what was the ritual to getting the Soul Stone, because no one has ever gotten the Soul Stone and was able to live to tell about it.
Got it. But perhaps even stranger is that Gamora apparently knew where the Soul Stone was this whole time and did nothing about it. In Guardians of the Galaxy, almost all of her dialogue was either expressing shock and disgust at Peter Quill or incessantly talking about the importance of keeping the Power Stone away from Ronan, and by extension Thanos. Yet somehow she managed to track down the Soul Stone to Vormir without Thanos knowing, and then did nothing about it. She clearly didn't know anything about the stone's defenses, and for all she knew, it could have been completely vulnerable. She and the Guardians couldn't have at least flown in to see if the Soul Stone was in safe hands? How did she even know where to find the Soul Stone in the first place? Where did Gamora succeed where Thanos failed?
Alright, pause. The Soul Stone. Now, no one knows about the Soul Stone. We found out about the Soul Stone in Infinity War. You mentioned that. Great job, CBR. But not everybody knew about what was going to happen when you got to the Soul Stone. Now, yes, Gamora found out the location of the Soul Stone, but she didn't find out how you got the Soul Stone, what was the ritual to getting the Soul Stone, because no one has ever gotten the Soul Stone and was able to live to tell about it. Everybody who has come up had to have a sacrifice. So unless you had another person to sacrifice, or you already knew what you was going to be doing up there, then you would get the Soul Stone. But everybody who went up there and could not get the sacrifice or couldn't do a sacrifice went back and left without the Soul Stone. So who to tell who she spoke to, but at least she was able to find out the location. But that's all we really needed. So I don't think we need any more information than that, because it's really clear. She found out the location, but everything else she would never be able to know because she wasn't prepared to sacrifice anything to know. So there you go.
Collector. We all know how badly Thanos wanted to get a hold of the Infinity Stones so he could cause the decimation, but we also know he wasn't the only person in the universe who desperately wanted to find them. It seems like word got around the universe that these things are immensely powerful, and these rumors glossed over the part about them frequently destroying people who try to use them. It wasn't just random treasure hunters out for the Infinity Stones either. In Guardians of the Galaxy, we learned that the Collector also wanted them. Of course, we simply know that he likes to collect things, hence the nickname. But is there more to this story? When he gives the Guardians a rundown of the Power Stone contained within the orb, he shows an informational video featuring a Celestial destroying a planet with the Power Stone. The Collector is one of the Elders of the Universe, who've been around since the dawn of time, which is when the Infinity Stones also came into being. Do the Celestials or the Elders of the Universe have a history with the Infinity Stones? Did the Collector simply want to possess them, or did he have something more insidious in mind?
Stop. Alright, so back to the Collector. If you look at the Infinity Gauntlet or Thanos Quest, the comic book, the Collector only collects, and he's bargaining one of the stones with Thanos for his brother, or I guess it's his cousin or whatever, the runner. But that's part of that comic book and everything like that. But bottom line is, he really didn't know how to use the stone. He even gave it to Thanos and was like, look, I can never make the thing work. I never knew how it worked. So there's a good chance that he doesn't have no idea how these stones work. All he really knows is that there's 6 of them. He wants to collect them just to put them in his collection. He had no intentions of being the king of the universe or the god of the universe or anything like that. He's not a Celestial. Now the Celestials, they were able to wield the Power Stone as far as we know. We don't know much about the Celestials, so we're hoping that we're going to get some more information. But if you think about it, again, the Collector is just a collector. He's not out to create and to have all this power. He just wants to collect these things to put in his collection. So there you go.
Infinity Gauntlet. Most Marvel movie fans believe we've seen Thanos lurking around the MCU since the mid-credit scene of the Avengers all the way back in 2012. But we know Marvel Studios has been teasing us about the Mad Titan since all the way back in the movie Thor. We got a glimpse of an Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's vault, and immediately started getting hype about the Infinity Gauntlet storyline being incorporated into the MCU. Odin owning this item raised a lot of questions though, and we've never really gotten a satisfying answer to them. In Thor Ragnarok, Hela confirmed the Infinity Gauntlet Odin had was a fake. But why would Odin have a fake Infinity Gauntlet? Odin might have been a bad dad, but he wasn't a stupid guy, and he clearly knew how to recognize items of value and power. It seemed like Marvel Studios tried to play this off as just an Easter egg, but some fans believed they may have had plans for Odin in the Gauntlet, which just never ended up playing out.
Stop. The Infinity Gauntlet. Now again, in Ragnarok, Hela, she pushed it over, it was fake. Now, I can understand why they would do that, and I don't think it's a plot hole. The reason why I don't think it's a plot hole is because Odin is smart, like you said. What if Odin knew about these 6 stones? What if he knew what kind of power these 6 stones will bring? And what if he decided to create a gauntlet with the stones already in his vault, and then have the word go out that, well, Odin has these things in his vault, and it's Odin. So who is going to try to cross Odin, try to get on Asgard to steal this thing? So of course, I feel like because of that rumor, everybody stayed away from even looking for the stones or even searching for the stones. But because of the fact that Thanos had the Mind Stone the entire time, he had in his mind that there are the 6 stones and they are still out there, and whatever Odin says that he has in his vault is complete fraud. So I think Thanos was the one who was able to figure it out. But other than that, Odin was trying to be Odin and trying to keep these things so that no one else will try to look for them, which makes a whole lot of sense.
Powers. Each of the Infinity Stones has its own unique capabilities, and most of them are pretty easy to figure out. For example, the Time Stone allows the bearer to manipulate time. We know, we're sure you were puzzling over that one. We've seen many characters utilize the Infinity Stones in different MCU films. We've seen the Space Stone fling characters to different parts of the universe. We've watched the Power Stone give a serious boost, and the Mind Stone being used to control people's minds. It's pretty straightforward, but what about the Soul Stone? This was the one Infinity Stone we hadn't seen before Avengers Infinity War, and most of us were wondering what it could do. The answer is that we still don't really know. To make things even crazier, let's consider the fact that 2 of our heroes gave their lives in order for someone to possess the Soul Stone. But just what is this Infinity Stone actually capable of? We know that there's a soul world inside of it, but we're not told much about this at all in the world of the MCU. So what's so special about this stone that Gamora and Black Widow gave their lives for it?
Stop. So powers. So let's get into the powers then. Now, you said that because of the Soul Stone, 2 people gave their lives for the Soul Stone because of the power, and we don't know about the power. You're wrong.
Wrong.
CBR, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're wrong. Gamora didn't give her life. She was killed. She was murdered. She was thrown off the cliff by Thanos because Thanos understood the power of the Soul Stone, but not only that, he needed the Soul Stone. Now, when it comes to Black Widow, same thing. She didn't kill herself because of the power of the Soul Stone. She only knew that they needed the Soul Stone to bring everybody back, so she sacrificed herself. So these 2 people didn't kill themselves because of the power or because they were compelled by the power. They didn't know what the power brought. They don't even know what contains the Soul Stone. All they know is that they needed the Soul Stone to complete their mission. Thanos needed it to complete his mission. The Avengers needed it to complete their mission. Done.
Superheroes. We all know that the Infinity Stones give people various abilities depending on the capabilities of that particular stone. The Soul Stone is a bit of a mystery in that regard, but let's talk about the Infinity Stones we've seen more often, because it seems as though they have the ability to develop superpowers. In Avengers Age of Ultron, we saw Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver show off their powers obtained with the help of the Mind Stone, and in Captain Marvel, we learned the Space Stone was the reason Carol Danvers turned into Captain Marvel. If it's possible for the Infinity Stones to give long-lasting powers, then it seems like pretty much every villain who's ever had one severely underutilized it. Could Thanos have made himself even more powerful than he already was? If he was so desperate to get the stones and knew so much about them, then why doesn't he have awesome superpowers like Captain Marvel? He had to take the Power Stone out of the Infinity Gauntlet to do any damage to her at all when they fought in Endgame.
These stones gave people power, so how come no one else received the powers? How come Thanos didn't receive new powers when he collected the stones? Well, let's analyze that for a little bit. Carol Danvers got the power that she possessed not because of direct contact to the Tesseract, meaning touching it and holding it. It was part of the life engine that was being worked on. And because of that explosion, because of the power of the Tesseract within the life engine that was then absorbed by Carol Danvers, gave her her powers. So it wasn't like she was touching the Tesseract directly, it was because of the life engine. Now, when you think about the 2 twins, Pietro and Wanda, the same thing occurs. They're not directly touching the Mind Stone to receive their power. They were being experimented on by Strucker, who was then manipulated by the Mind Stone. So the Mind Stone is what manipulated Strucker to do these type of experiments using the power of the Mind Stone, but the Mind Stone gave them different powers altogether. I mean, if they were touching directly the Mind Stone, why wouldn't they get the same power? I mean, it's only common sense that, and it was always explained in Age of Ultron that they were the only experiments that lived, these 2 individuals. So their powers were derived from the power of these stones, but not directly from the power of the stones. Get it?
Genius.
Thank you.
Exile. It seems as though Marvel has been pretty inconsistent about the rules regarding the Infinity Stones. In Guardians of the Galaxy, we saw numerous times that grabbing an Infinity Stone with your bare hands was a bad idea. This was further reinforced by the fact that the stones are usually shown in some sort of containment vessel. Yet in Endgame, we saw the Ancient One just hand over the Time Stone instead of the whole Eye of Agamotto. And what about when the Red Skull tried to grab the Space Stone in Captain America: The First Avenger? We learned in Infinity War that he ended up on Vormir guarding the Soul Stone, but who was guarding it before he got there? Why Red Skull? Why not Loki, Thanos, Nick Fury, or heck, Goose? They all had access to the Space Stone and didn't end up marooned on Vormir. When Avengers Infinity War ended, many fans wanted to know what was going to happen to Red Skull. The Russo brothers claimed he's now free to pursue his own goals, but how's he even going to get back to Earth?
Stop. Exile. So, we talked about exile, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you think about it, why wasn't everybody different situations? Well, let's look at these situations. Peter Quill is half celestial, so he's half. So he was able to hold an Infinity Stone and not die. Just like the Collector's assistant, Corina, she was able to touch the stone, but she automatically destroyed and blew up herself and everything like that because she's just a regular alien. Quill was able to hold on to the stone and stay with the stone. Now, if you look at Ronan, Ronan is a Kree, and he's a little bit different. He's an alien. So maybe there's some type of power within him that was able to make sure that he was able to hold the stone. But if you look at it, he held the stone for a little bit and put it in his hammer to wield, just like a Celestial would do. So in a way, that kind of makes sense sense as well. He wouldn't be banished or anything like that. He wouldn't blow up or anything like that because of the fact that he has some type of power within him, just like Quill was half celestial at the time. Now, if you look at Loki, now why wasn't Loki sent all the way up to where the Soul Stone was? Well, if you think about it, when Loki touched it and he disappeared, that was part of an alternate timeline. That wasn't part of the actual timeline of the MCU. So that kind of makes sense in a way. If you also look at it, Red Skull was considered to be pure evil. Like the Doctor said to Captain America way back when, the serum only amplifies what is within. So if you're really good, you become better. If you're really bad, you become evil. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. And that's the reason why Red Skull was banished up to watch and guard over the Soul Stone, because this was considered to be a punishment. This wasn't considered to be some type of glory for him. It was a punishment. So that's why he was sent out there as a punishment. So that's why the Tesseract did that, sent them through space. And there's a connection. Remember, all the stones are connected one way or another. They were all created in the same singularity. We see that in Infinity War. We see that whole description and everything like that Wong is discussing. Everything was built out of one singularity, so they all connect to each other. Make sense?
Genius. In Avengers Infinity War, we learned the lengths Thanos went to in order to obtain the Infinity Gauntlet. The terrible, terrible, terrible lengths. He traveled to the dwarven realm of Nidavellir and got Eitri to forge the gauntlet for him. Eitri did so hoping Thanos would spare his people, but Thanos just took the gauntlet and killed them all anyway. Hey Thanos, what happened to your plan of only getting rid of half of all life in the universe? Clearly, Thanos was powerful enough to get the job done, but why did he have to go to Eitri in the first place? It was hyped up like creating an Infinity Gauntlet was some nearly impossible task, but in the very next movie we saw Tony Stark just toss one together. Rocket later pointed out that while Tony might be one of the smartest people on Earth, that doesn't mean he's one of the smartest people in the universe. It seems like Thanos probably had a lot of other avenues he could have pursued when it came to getting an Infinity Gauntlet. Why did he specifically target the dwarves? He didn't want Eitri or any other dwarven blacksmiths to make a weapon that could be used against him, but that seems pretty short-sighted considering all the people who'd be capable of doing so.
Stop. Genius. Let's talk about the two geniuses, Iron Man and Thanos. Now, Thanos goes to these dwarves and he tells them Victory to make his gauntlet and he will spare the rest of his people. Once the gauntlet was made, he decided to kill all of his people. That has nothing to do with his mission or his philosophy of killing half the population. He wasn't trying to save that population. He wanted to destroy that population. That was the Mad Titan that was doing all that, which is Thanos. Remember, when Thanos started to get all the stones, he started to change his philosophy. Mentally, he started to change. See, before that, he was the Mad Titan that we were introduced to in Endgame. Endgame showed us the actual Mad Titan. So that makes sense that he will destroy the dwarves because he was the Mad Titan then. Has nothing to do with his philosophy whatsoever. Now, if you look at Iron Man, how was he able to create a new gauntlet? He's Iron Man. He could create anything. At this point, he was able to create a nanite suit that was able to just create new things. So he was able to see exactly what kind of gauntlet Thanos was using, all of the stones that was able to sit on it, and how much power it would need to generate. So that's why he had Bruce Banner, who knows about the origin as far as the gamma radiation that are coming off of the stones. He was able to create a gauntlet that was able to keep and harness that power. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Well, actually, it did take a genius to figure that out, and that's how he did it. So that kind of explains the two geniuses and the philosophies there. Make sense?
Destruction. In Avengers Endgame, our heroes were horrified to learn Thanos had used the Infinity Stones once more, but instead of using them to wreak havoc, he used them to destroy themselves, nearly taking himself out in the process. But are the Infinity Stones really gone? According to Bruce Banner, even though our heroes went back in time, the events of Infinity War still happened. The present is still the present, and in this present, the Infinity Stones are gone, right? Well, not according to the Russo brothers. When asked about the Infinity Stones, they claimed Thanos had reduced the stones to the atomic level, and confirmed that they still exist in the MCU. So it seems like they're just trying to leave the door open in case Marvel Studios tries to make the Infinity Stones relevant once again. But for all intents and purposes, it's safe to assume they're gone, at least for now. The Infinity Saga has ended, and we're getting ready for Marvel's Phase 4 and all the new threats to the universe it's going to bring along with it.
Stop. All right, destruction. yeah, there's nothing I can really say to that. That's not really a plot hole. That's more of your observation. That's more of your opinion. That's not a plot hole. So I could agree with you guys on that point. That's one point.
Hi, question.
And that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, I love the video. I love the videos. I love the videos he put out, but sometimes they put stuff out that just seems crazy. So I'm just here to correct I'm just here to correct everything, and I'm here to make sense of everything. That's what I'm here to do. That's why I'm here. That's why they call me Zams. Anyway, this is your boy Zams. Like I said, this is That Comic Show. Like, share, and subscribe. Click the notification button so you know when we drop new stuff. This is Well Actually. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you are enjoying it so I can keep making more videos like this. Zams out.
Your attention, please.
In episode...
Hey, your attention, please.